Hello? Are we there? Is everybody with us now? Today is Sunday. This is Labor Day weekend. I want to wish everybody out there that actually works for a living a happy Labor Day weekend. And if you really, really work your ass off, I wish you even a better happy Labor Day weekend. Because my friend Pete will be working all Labor Day weekend, including today. Like we are right now. You can see what's going on here. And what we're doing today is, I'm going to get a little close. Now, if my camera gets a little jittery, that's because I'm on the tripod here. Because I'm by myself. Minnie the Body Shop girl is at home working on our house. So, we got Mr. Tripod right down here giving us the stick in the ass. All right, Mick Holgate all the way from Australia. Appreciate that, buddy. So, what we're looking at a Honda. Now, got Peter Freud, England, thank you. Okay, if I don't answer everybody's questions, I got to keep going here, okay? So, you know, Minnie the Body Shop, she's girl, she's good at that, but, okay, Rick, thanks a lot from the UK, appreciate it. I can't read everybody's comments, so keep throwing the comments out there, we appreciate it. My friend Pete's working his ass off for you, so you can learn to do the job right and also be somebody in life that gives a shit and wants to get ahead. That's what I'm all about. So what we got here is a piece of paper that's coming off the fucking car. Now that pisses me off. Okay, we'll fix that before we do any spraying. But what we got here, I want to get the camera where it's just at the right angle. There we go. Okay. We got a 77 Honda Civic. Now, this is for a guy out in California. His name's Randy. Very nice guy. To be honest with you, he's one of the nicest people that I've ever run across. And he's just an awesome guy. He actually owns two of these. If we can scoot around over here, everybody that remembers this car, we had a lot of major body work on this thing right here. And I want you to look at that quarter panel if you remember watching the video a couple weeks ago. Okay, I'm at the shop too also. Appreciate that, buddy. Okay, so if you look right here, you can see there's a lot of body work that was done to this. And if everybody remembers right, we went ahead and we had to build that door jamb up. Really came out nice. Now what you're looking at here, before we go any further, this is a good tech tip. I don't have a guide code on this car yet because what I do after I do my first initial primer, I go back with a pencil and I use the light, okay? I use the light from outside. If you look at that car, you can see how it kind of shines on it. And I also have skylights in my shop, you can see up here. So what I do is I use the light, and then what I'll do is I'll come down this way here, see, and I'll look down the car, see how the light shines on the car, and now you can start seeing the imperfections that are still on the vehicle. So I'll follow the imperfection with my light, and then I'll go ahead and circle the area, and you can see that it ends up right in this area. So that's telling me that I still got body work to do on that car right there on that. Now let's look at this one here, all right, and see if I can get this with the light. You can see how the light moves with the panel, and if you look real close, you can see how ripply that is right there. So what I did is I went and outlined that, and then what I'll do, I'll come back and block sand that down with 36 grit, and then I'll apply some more filler to it to make it perfect. You see a lot of people out there, what they do is they spray the spray-on Bondo. I don't like that shit. I think that stuff is junk. And if you're building a car to actually drive, you definitely don't want to use it. So the only time I really use it is on the roofs for imperfections and for hail damage. That's it. So stay away from the spray-on Bondo and just practice on your body work. So we finally got the Honda in primer, and it really came out good. You can see that. We got to replace the core support on this car right here. That's our next job. But what this video is about is this right here. Right here. Using the 2K filler primer on your initial primer job. Okay? A lot of people get confused and they think epoxy primer is primer, and it's not. Epoxy primer is a sealer. Can everybody hear me out there? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear the word sealer, S-E-A-L-E-R. Now, what I'm talking about is when you use epoxy sealer, that is not a primer. That is nothing, okay? All it is a sealer to protect the metal, to protect your primer before you paint. So when you hear somebody say, I'm going to use epoxy primer, no, you're not. Put it back on the shelf, bitch. It's not time to use the epoxy primer yet. Now, if we were going to take this car and it was going to sit around for a long time, like a couple cars that we got here, and we'll go look at them in a minute, we would go ahead and apply epoxy sealer. Okay, but we're working on this very quickly. We've stripped this car down to bare metal. What you're looking at is bare metal, all right? I have done all the body work to the hood, and I'm going to tell you something about these little bitches here. All right, this was the start of foreign takeover in America. This is it right here. The metal on this car is like paper. You barely touch the metal on this thing, and let me tell you something, there ain't no American about this bitch. I can tell you that. But you can see here's some major body damage that we fixed, and I want to let everybody else know out there, when you look at that and you say, wow, that's a lot of Bondo. No, that's not a lot of Bondo. That is a very thin skim coat to get rid of all the little small imperfections. If we look at the hood right here, you can see there's a little ding, there's a ding, there's a ding, okay? There's a ding right there, there's another little ding that I found using the light, using my technique of taking the light. Look at the light right here, watch as I move. See how the light moves with me? I'm taking the light and I'm finding my imperfections, okay? That's what you want to do. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you the difference between epoxy primer and filler primer. And I'm going to go ahead and apply my filler primer. I'm going to show you the correct way to do that when you're doing a restoration job or you got a lot of body work, just as this right here. I'm going to show you how to save materials, okay? Because filler primer is not cheap. So we got this piece over here we got to prime. Right there. And as you see me lift this thing up, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you how thin the metal is on this. When I lift this thing up right here, I'll bet that tailgate right there weighs less than 1.5 pounds. No shit, I'm serious. It's fucking crazy. It is fucking crazy. To restore a car like this to this magnitude is really, really rare. So anyway. Okay, we got a guy from Africa, South Africa. How you doing out there, buddy? So let's get over to the paint table. I'm going to have to go get my other tripod adapter because this tripod's not tall enough. So if y'all can hang on and kind of just, you know, check it out and think of what we just talked about. I'll be right back because I don't like this tripod. I think it's a piece of shit. That's my desk tripod. When Sammy Salamy's editing, this is the tripod he uses. So let me go get the other adapter. I'll be right back, and we'll get going with the show ahead of us. Be right back. Okay, we finally found our adapter right here. Let me go ahead and change that out and we'll get in gear and see what we can do here. I also have to remove my battery adapter because we don't want to go dead on this. I got this adapter hooked up, and let's go ahead and get our phone. This is I'm actually using my phone for this. Maybe one day when I can afford to buy some better high-tech equipment, we might go ahead and go that route, but for right now, there we go. Okay, now we can go ahead and use the real tripod and get shit done. So I'm going to lock it in place just like this, and bam, looky there. Son of a bitch. I would say that that's 100 times better and will work a million times. And I think everybody's going to enjoy it a lot better than this little bastard right there. Okay. I got to tie my battery extender onto it. Hang on. We're almost ready, guys. Labor Day weekend right here with my friend Pete's over at D.I.Y Auto School. I'm in a good mood today. I'd like to say thank you to, I want to go ahead and mention his name. We got a viewer out in, Paul Baca. We want to say thank you to Paul Baca. He is the proud owner of a 1966 Mustang that we were going to raffle off. We already know the story about that. Anybody that's been watching my friend Pete knows the story. And Paul Baca bought that car for his lovely wife, and she is going to make a daily driver out of that car. So me and Minnie the Body Shop Girl will be bringing that car up there to Paul, and hopefully he's going to get it running good. He's going to make it a nice, safe car for her, and she's going to enjoy the hell out of it. So be watching for that video, because Paul is a very, very nice guy, and I've been talking to him for a long time on the phone, and I consider him a YouTuber slash Facebook friend. You know, there's a difference between having online friends and literally friends that are right here. So if you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube and you make these online friends, always remember there's got to be space between there, because not that you really don't know the person, but you really don't know the person. So if you can figure that out, go ahead. I consider all my Facebook friends and all my YouTubers friends, but as far as like shake a hand, make a friend right here, I would love to meet everybody in person, but that's highly impossible because we got friends all over the world over here at SWRNC. Back to what we were talking about. We're going to go ahead and prime this, and I'm going to show you how to use the 2K primer. Let's get over to the paint table, let's mix it up and get to work and in gear. And I wish Minnie the Body Shop Girl was here to be the camera girl, because it's a little more fun with her. So we kind of miss Minnie the Body Shop Girl on these, but she will be back soon. She will be back. So let me see if I can get that in the camera. I'm going to turn my light on. I just bought a bunch of supplies right here. That's another video you don't want to miss. We're going to be going over supplies that it takes to literally paint your car from start to finish. And we're going to take a special trip down to Ellis Color Supply for that. So make sure that everybody watches that if you're interested in painting your own car and what you need to do the job. So let me get this out of the way. And I'm going to set this on Paul's car over here on the Mustang for right now. I'm sure he's not going to mind. But what we got is we got two different kind of primers that we use when we're restoring a car. We got epoxy primer, and I'm not showing you this to advertise. I'm showing you this because it's important to show you, okay? So we got epoxy primer, and you can clearly see it says epoxy primer gray, all right? And you can see it right there. And then we got our 2K primer. Now the primer that I use is a very, very high build. It's called ultra high build 2K primer. There's a lot of junk primers on the market, so beware. okay? I will tell you one primer that's junk right off the bat is U-Pol. That's U-P-O-L. Do not use U-Pol 2K primer. Now the 2K means that it takes two components to make one. So you got one component which is your primer, and then you got your other component which will be your activator / hardener, okay? Now this one can, I will tell you, weighs about 35 pounds when it's completely full. So when you get a can of 2K primer and you pick it up and it feels like a light feather and you're bouncing up and down, don't fucking buy it. You're wasting your money, okay? But you really need to watch your P's and Q's when it comes to primer, because primer is a product that is giving you the process, all right, to paint your car, but it's also the finishing process, meaning it's the preparation in between doing the body work and painting the car. So it's very important to use high quality primer. Now 2K primer is a sandable primer. This primer right here we can sand, okay? That primer you cannot sand. This is non-sandable primer. Once again, I don't know why they put primer on the end of it. It should say epoxy sealer. Okay, epoxy sealer. Let's go in there real quick. We're going to look at a car that has the epoxy sealer on it. Now you remember the Honda. You saw what that looked like. Let's go in here and look at Mr. UK's Camaro, all right? And you're going to see that this has epoxy primer on it. Squeeze through the door. And I want everybody to look right there. That is epoxy primer. That is a sealer. If I sanded this with sandpaper, it would gum up. It would gum the paper up, and then it would put scratches and streaks in the primer. This is not a primer that you would use to sand on. It is a sealer only. If everybody remembers, we went ahead, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you, we had this whole car sandblasted. All right, we didn't cover this because we're going to replace that whole quarter panel, so why waste material? But it's very important to always remember, if you hear the word epoxy and it's mixed in with primer, it is not a primer. It is a sealer. And right behind us is our paint-ready Oldsmobile, which I'm really debating whether I'm going to be painting it or not. But look at the primer on this car. Okay, this is sandable primer. Look at this. Do you see what we're looking at here? Okay, look. That's sandable primer. Okay? There's a difference. This is 2K primer. This is filler primer. We had a shitload of deep scratches on the roof up here from grinding the old Bondo and primer off. And we had to put our 2K filler primer on top of it to fill those 36 grit scratches in. All right? So what you're looking at here, you can see how smooth it is and how nice, because our 2K filler primer has filled in all of our deep scratches on it. Now we got to go back and block sand this out, find our highs and low spots on our bondoed areas, work that out, and then we'll prime it one more time. But this isn't about that. Because what this is about is how to spray 2K primer on your car. Get my camera set back up over here. And I want to tell everybody out there I appreciate all the support that you give my friend Pete out there, and I hope that everybody's learning something, okay, and is enjoying the videos that we make over here for you. This really takes a long time. If I wasn't making this video, I'd already have that job done. It's 104 degrees. I'm sweating my nutsack off, and I can feel the sweat dripping down my asshole, so I hope that you really appreciate it. The first thing you want to do with your 2K primer is you want to make sure that it's mixed up thoroughly. Now here's a tech tip for all you guys out there. Go to your local paint stores, and you can buy these. They're very cheap, or sometimes they give them away. And what this is a mixing machine cap. And you can see it screws on the top of the can, and it also seals itself so air doesn't get in as you use it. It's spring loaded, okay? Go over there and ask them about one of those, and more than likely they'll be glad to give you one. So that's another tech tip. That way you don't have to open that can and pour it out and have it everywhere on the floor. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and mix this up. Now, this is a 4-to-1 mix on this, okay? Yeah, 4-to-1 mix. So when you buy a primer, and that's usually what the primer is, 2K primer, it's 1 quart to 1 gallon. We're going to take our mixing cup. We're going to make sure that we're not clogged up here on our opening, just like that, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and pour it out. And I basically know what's going on, but always remember that 4-to-1. It's always 4-to-1. It's a 4-to-1 mix. And the primer that I'm using right here, this is a Matrix brand. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Everybody wants to know what I use. And it's called MP3. And a gallon setup of this primer is approximately $150. All right? If you get the PPG K36 primer, because you're buying a fucking name, you're going to spend about $375 or less, somewhere in that area. So, you know, watch your ass when it comes to buying primer. Once again, buying paint supplies is a very, very tricky situation when it comes to what should I use? What should I buy? Is it going to flake off? Is it going to last? All right, you know, you got to get on the internet. You got to read your scripture on finding out. You got to investigate. We're going to go ahead and put our hardener in with it. And what I like to do, because this stuff is so thick, this is another tech tip. I'm going to take my reducer, my hot reducer, and I'm going to add 10%. Now, here's something else that I'm going to tell you that a lot of people fuck up on. You can thin this out, but you cannot use lacquer thinner. You cannot use mineral spirits. You can't use acetone. The only thing that you can use to thin your 2K primer out is urethane reducer. And the reason for that is the word urethane. This is a urethane primer, all right? That means you're going to use urethane reducer. Don't ever use anything else to thin out your primer than urethane reducer. And that goes for epoxy primer as well. I'm sorry, sealer. So I don't like smelling the fumes of this stuff, and I suggest that anybody out there doing this work does the same thing. Always wear your safety equipment when you're working with this. So I'm going to stand back here, and if I start smelling it, I got to put my mask on. But we're going to go ahead and add 10%. And if that looked like that was more than 10%, so fucking what? You know? Tough shit. Just to let all the haters out there ahead of time hear the situation. Then you want to mix that up thoroughly. Now, this is the thing about 2K primer that's important. That primer has got to be mixed up 100% accurately complete. And the way that I do that, because this stuff is so heavy that the solids will settle at the bottom and the liquids will stay on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and just mix it up lightly like this. And watch when I pull my stick out. I don't know if you can see it way back there. But you can see, look at the bottom of that stick. And you can kind of see how thick it is, okay? So that's another problem that people have, is they don't mix their primer up all the way. And if you don't mix your primer up, why the fuck are you spraying primer, bitch? You're wasting my time and your time because you're not paying fucking attention. So what I'm going to do is I got 2 cups here. I'm going to take this cup and I'm going to pour half of that in there, making sure that I get some of the bottom. Look how thick that is in there. All right? You see that? Okay? The solids aren't going solid. They're not mixing. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to mix it up really good. Okay? Just like that. That way I got it half full, I can go real fast. Because when it's way up here, you can't go real fast. Because why? Because it's splashing everywhere and going all over my fucking iPhone. You think I want my iPhone full of primer? Think about it. Then we're going to take our solid primer. Look how thick this is coming out of here. And then, now, what we've done, we have now mixed our primer thoroughly by using the 2-cup system of mixing our primer. So I hope everybody's already learned something out of this video. Now, we're going to go ahead and get to the spray gun situation. Let me go get a spray gun. I want to show you something. A lot of people fuck up on that too. Okay, I'm back. What we got here is a nice little beautiful spray gun kit. This spray gun kit I am going to recommend to everybody watching this video. Once again, I don't like to advertise, but you are my fans, and I'm going to tell you about this. It's called the Starting Line by D.I.Y. It comes with 2 spray guns. If you look at the picture, okay? Let's go over that, little romper room kiddies. You got this spray gun here that has blue on it. Then you got the solid silver one. The blue one is for your paint. It comes with 2 tips and 2 nozzles. I believe it's a 1.3 and a 1.5. This one here comes with a 1.8. You want to spray your primer with a minimum of 1.8 tip. So if you buy this kit and you keep those guns thoroughly clean, they're going to stay like brand new, like I'm going to show you, because that's another thing, is that you got to have your spray guns clean. If your spray guns aren't clean, and believe me, this motherfucker's clean. Don't look at my spray gun, bitch. Don't cut my spray gun down. This is my best friend. I've had this spray gun since I was 13 years old, and I don't know how many fucking cars I've sprayed with this bitch. I can tell you that right now. Okay? I spray everything with that. Everything. Well, almost. But if we open this up right here, I want to show you that. Very beautiful spray gun kit. Comes with a box and a case. I don't know if they come with this anymore. I bought this several years back. And this is the gun right here that's for primer. Okay? This is a primer gun. I've actually given several of these away to help people out. You know, my friend Pete ain't no jerk off. I'm going to tell you something, all right? There's a lot of motherfucking people out in the world that wishes they had all this shit. There's people in South Africa. There's people out in Iraq. And where else did I send something? I don't even know. Somewhere out in the Middle East. Some fucking little town that I've never even heard the name of. People that have contacted me, asking me questions. And I had a guy, all right, I don't even remember what his name was. But he was over in the Middle East somewhere, out in Iraq or fucking Iran or somewhere. And he sent me these pictures of these homemade blocks that he made for sanding. He watched the video I made of the DuraBlock system, and he said, Pete, check these out. This is what I'm using. And he restored, what he did is he restored Mercedes-Benz. So being the nice guy that I am, my friend Pete, of course, and of course Manny the Body Shop Girl, I bought him a set of fucking DuraBlocks and sent them to him free of charge. Because I wanted to see that guy get ahead in life. And if that was going to help him do it, then more power to him. I've actually bought several of these with my money and sent them to people that I don't even fucking know. Just because I believe that they're working their ass off and trying to get shit done. Back to the fucking spray gun. So we got this spray gun here. And this is once again our D.I.Y. Starting Line by D.I.Y. And this is strictly for primer only. This is not for painting a car. This is a 1.8 nozzle on here. Very beautiful gun. And these guns, I believe they're 180 bucks for the set. And then if you look over here, here's our extra needle. Here's our extra nozzle for our 1.4 or 1. Whatever the fuck it is, 1.5. I can't read that. But this would be our paint gun right here. So this is a very, very nice spray gun kit. I'm not here to advertise. I'm here to show you that if you want to do a nice job, at least get something half-ass fucking decent to do the job with. Because you are only what your tools will let you be. Alright? If you don't have good tools, you're going to fuck it up and it's going to look like shit. So that's an option right there for all you guys that are broke dicks and ain't got a lot of fucking money. This kit right here will do you and serve you more than enough pleasure to bust your nut and paint cars with. So, nice fucking spray gun kit. Oh, by the way, I was just going to show you that because of the HVLP. Okay, it does come with an HVLP, but we're not using HVLP because we're using my trusty old Binks number 7 that is clean inside. I'll tell you that again. And now that we got our primer mixed up, I'm sorry for fucking bullshitting, okay? A lot of guys out there say I talk too much. Well, I don't give a shit. If you don't like me talking, get the fuck out of here. Leave. That's all I can tell you. But we're going to go ahead and get our spray gun cup. And I always keep my lacquer thinner for gun wash. So we're going to pour that in there. And yes, my fucking spray gun is clean. Okay? Always make sure that you keep your tips and your nozzles clean. And the inside of your spray gun, that's what counts. Doesn't matter what the outside looks like. Don't judge the fucking book by the cover, bitch. Have you ever heard that? Many memories right here, many memories. 13 years old. When I bought this gun, I think it was $79. And when I was 13 years old, $79 is like $700 or $800 fucking dollars today. So, yeah. A lot of fucking cars been painted with this. Anyway, we're going to take our cup, and this is another key for painting, is a strainer. It's very important to always use a strainer when you are painting. So we're going to go ahead and strain our primer, and I don't know if you can see it from there, but this is some really thick stuff, okay? Very, very thick. And I'm going to show you why you use a strainer with everything. When I pour lacquer thinner out of this cup into here to clean my gun, I use a strainer, okay? It's always important to always use a strainer. I want you to look inside there and check that out. Can anybody see that? Can we all see that? Is that a good lesson right there? Look at all that shit inside that fucking thing. It's pathetic. So, always use a strainer. You can get those free, by the way. You don't have to buy them. And if you play your cards right, you can tell the paint guy over at the counter, the cocksucker that doesn't know his head from his ass, that thinks he knows everything and is trying to tell you what to buy, get some free fucking cups from him while you're at it. So, we got our primer mixed. And we are going to go in there and spray some primer on our Honda and see if we can get this done right. Now, another thing that's important is you always want to use an air filter, all right? Especially if you don't have a water trap system. It's very important to use this because a lot of people say, well, man, I don't know what's wrong. I'm getting fisheye and it's starting to blister and it's starting to look like shit. Why, Pete? Why, my friend Pete? Because you ain't got a fucking filter, dumbass. You know how much one of these costs? About 89 cents. I usually buy 5 or 6 of them. I keep them in stock. So, always use trusty air filter on the end of your gun. Let's get in there. Let's get this primer on there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to lay your primer down. And you're probably talking to yourself saying, I know how to spray, Pete. Well, I'm going to show you the trick where we're going to put a lot of primer on the car with little fucking material. Let's get over there and let's get her done. Now, if I was making a video out of that and I was going to cut, that's where I would cut. And the next time you'd be in there standing there priming. But since this is live, we don't have no better choice but to do it this way. So, here we go. Are we still there? Is everybody having fun? Nice Sunday afternoon over here in Texas. Having a good time. And we already got somebody that's bitching at us, telling us, let's get it done. I'm fucking getting it done, bitch. What do you want me to do? I'm trying to show you how to fucking do it. Showing you how to do it is starting with the fucking primer and how to fucking mix it. Let's get this shit going here, all right? Okay, you see I got my mask here. Now this is a dust mask, this ain't a paint mask. We got a good breeze blowing through the shop, so we really don't need a paint mask. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and apply this primer on the hood, and then I'm going to squeeze over to the door. But I want you to watch very closely how I'm going to spray this primer on my first coat. Because what we're going to do first, we're going to set our air pressure. Listen close. Did y'all hear that? Watch, let's do that one more time. You want the air pressure low, and I'm going to tell you why. The lower you have your air pressure, the less fucking overspray we're going to have in the air. So set it around 30 pounds, no, I'd say about 35, 40 pounds. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to set our pattern. Okay, so I'm going to open my pattern all the way up, and I'm going to turn my pattern in about one turn. That's it. The way that I set my volume is I set it where it's almost open all the way, and I control it with the trigger. Now, if you're not comfortable controlling it with the trigger, and you're used to just pulling on that trigger all the time, set it to where it's about halfway open, halfway closed. The first coat that I'm going to put on this, and this is the trick, is I'm only going to prime the bondoed areas. That's it. I'm not going to put primer on the whole thing. Now, another trick to doing that is putting it on wet. Because if you put it on dry, and the reason that you put it on dry, if you've ever sprayed primer, you say, why did it go on so dry? Because your fucking air pressure is too fucking high. Turn your air pressure down. It'll go on wet. That's what you want. Watch how I go ahead and spray this. I'm going to sneak over to the side and get that door while that's drying. I'm going to get that thing in the back. Then we're going to come back and put 2 full wet coats on it. There you go. We'll be right back. That's all right. Let's go ahead and move the camera over there so you can see this too. Hold on. That's why it's on a tripod. Okay, come on over here. I want to show you this, and this is why we spot prime only on our first initial coat. Okay, if you look right here, you can see dry spots in it. You can see the outline of the primer. What's happening when we put our first coat on, what's happening is the primer is being sucked in by the Bondo. You understand what I'm saying? So when you got a lot of body work, what's happening when you go ahead and prime the whole thing, a lot of the primer is being wasted because that's our first initial coat. So the reason that I spot prime it like that is so I don't waste my material. That's very important in today's situation of painting cars. You see what I'm saying? That's the situation you have. Is you got to spot prime your bondoed areas, and then once you spot prime them, then you come back and you put two full wet coats of primer, and that actually equals 3 coats of primer total. So now we're going to go ahead and put 2 full wet coats of primer on it, and then it's done. Okay, so what you saw me do, I basically put 2 coats of primer on it because the first coat was our patch coat, which means that we just did the bondoed areas only, and then we put 1 full wet coat on it. If you noticed, I had my air pressure down low. I wasn't getting a lot of overspray. It was going on nice and wet, and it was going on thick. That has to do with your air pressure. Your air pressure has a lot to do with the way that you spray something on a car. The consistency of your air pressure is going to give you the power to spray everything uniformly and properly. I saw a comment when I turned around. I want to let you know. Some asshole had said this is a Bondo buggy. Obviously, that guy's never done any body work before in his life. And what you saw in there, the Bondo that you saw, all those dents were pulled out, and then Bondo was applied to it. So if you think that's a Bondo buggy, that's just showing your intelligence that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you should keep your fucking mouth shut, is what that tells me, bitch. Okay? What I got to do now is I got to wait approximately 20 to 30 minutes. When I come back, I'm going to put my final coat on there. I'm going to put it on a little bit slower. I'm going to put it on just a little bit thicker, and then this hood will be done. Now, Always keep in mind, this is filler primer. That means when you're spraying it, you take your time. You overlap it by 80% because you want that primer to build up. It's a 2K primer. That means it won't shrink. It's shrink proof. Back in the day, there was a primer called Condor Primer. All right, Condor Primer was a PPG primer. It was one of the very first filler primers on the market. There was another one that was made by DuPont. DuPont, I don't remember the name of it. It was yellow primer. It was the first primer ever hit the market that was a 2K primer. But PPG had a primer. It was called Condor with a K. And what that was a lacquer filler primer. If you use that primer after several years from the Texas sun, or maybe you live in Alaska or wherever the fuck you are, the weather would shrink that primer and your paint job would look like shit. So it's always important to use a very, very good primer on your item, because that is the prep job. This is your paint job right here. If you don't have a high quality primer and you don't prep that primer properly and lay it down smooth, then you're going to have a shitty paint job. If you lay it down too thick, you're going to get orange peel all over and it's going to be hell on you sanding it out. If you lay it on real fast, it's going to be dry. You're not going to get enough primer on it. You got to practice. You got to practice and keep using the same product. Once you find a product that you use, get used to that product. Use it all the time. I get people that come over here and they call me out, hey, I got this product. Let's put your name on the fucking can. You can sell SWR&C primer and SWR&C paint. Fuck that. We ain't doing that shit. All right? I'm not going to take some fucking bozo fucking brand, put my name on it, and tell everybody out in the world, hey, check this out. I got a can of SWR&C primer. This is what I use. And fucking lie to everybody. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete. Let's get a close look at that. I want to get my camera up. I want to show you the sheen. All right? If anybody out there knows what sheen means. And it definitely doesn't mean Bondo buggy, fuckface. But look at the sheen on that. That's what you want. You want a nice, accurate sheen. Do you see how shiny that looks? It's fucking great. Works good. That's how you want it to lay down, right there. Look at the sheen right in here. See there? All right, you want that nice sheen. Let's look at this over here real quick. I primed this approximately 3 days ago, and you can still see it's got a nice sheen on it. Okay? That's telling me there's no orange peel in it. It's nice and smooth. Okay? And it's going to sand and block sand with minimal work. So I hope everybody's enjoyed this little long, I might say, video. And I hope you learned something out of it. And the main thing that you need to learn in life is not be a hater. Me personally, you can hate all you fucking want because you're just showing the world you're a fucking idiot and a loser. We are going to talk about the Mustang, because the Mustang we were going to raffle off and we didn't get to raffle it off because of the haters. But you know, that's all right, because my friend Pete made out pretty good. And the haters suck. The only way to deal with haters is to ignore haters and to let them be who they are, because haters are fucking losers. And that's all I got to say. I was going to talk about the Mustang, but you know what? This ain't Mustang time. This ain't Mustang time. This is called How to Spray Your Fucking Car with 2K Primer. We'll see you later. Take it easy. And we have got to go. I got to mix up a little bit more primer, and down the road we go. I want to thank all of our around the world fans that join in, all the way from Africa and Australia and the UK and everywhere else. And of course, all of our American native brothers and sisters out there. God bless America. God bless me. God bless you. God bless Donald Trump. And God bless that we're still here alive watching this video and having a good time. Take it easy.